Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have back, let's say by popular demand, we have Sully Roberts here with us, and he is the Community Engagement Specialist at Worcester Inc. in Worcester, Veterans Inc. in Worcester. And beside him is Katherine Person, and she is the Director of Clinical Services at Veterans Inc. Got it out? Hi. Welcome, you guys. Sully, you were on before. For people who didn't see the first interview, give us a brief rundown of what you're doing over there.
Yeah, again, and thank you again so much for having us on last time, Jan. It really was an excellent time. We've already seen a bunch of referrals and kind of interest generated from that. So I just want to thank you personally, Paul, and everyone on Upton Community TV who's watching right now or may watch later. You really have been such an immense help to us and the veterans, so I really appreciate it. So for those of you who didn't have a chance to watch last time, we are here representing Veterans Inc. We are the leading 501c3 nonprofit services provider for veterans and their families in need in the nation. Our motto is, they were there when they needed us. We must be there now that they need us. So since 1990, we've served over 90,000 veterans and their families with a whole host of services, including housing, homelessness prevention, substance use treatment, suicide prevention, employment and training, really the whole gamut of services. And the biggest message that we can get out there is that if you are a veteran or you have a loved one, a family member, a friend who is a veteran, and you are in need, please reach out and contact us. And you can contact us at 1-800-482-2565 or check out our new website at veteransinc.org. Again, that's 1-800-482-2565 or veteransinc.org. Thank you.
Sully, are you on the radio too?
Not yet. I went on Audio Journal a few weeks back to promote some of our services for the blind and kind of the disabled. Yeah.
Okay. So Sully brought, well, actually she came separately, Katherine Person. And Katherine, tell us what you do on the Director of Clinical Services.
Sure. So I've been at Veterans Inc. for I think 9.5 years now. So it's been a journey. So what I do is I really oversee all of our programs. The only thing that doesn't kind of fall directly under me is our recovery programs, but Sully's here and he's wonderful and he can talk about all of those. So the different programs that fall under me are really our housing programs. So we have housing programs that are prevent homelessness, that can rehouse someone who is homeless very quickly. Mm-hmm. There's also some wraparound follow-up services for people who are going into housing. And one of those programs is really great, actually, our housing retention program, and that doesn't have any income requirements. So a lot of programs, we have people who are eliminated because they have too much income, but don't really have the support that they need, even though they do have the income. So this program it's not brand new, I guess. We've had it for a couple of years now.
Growing. It's
growing, yes, and continuing to grow, which is really great. So this program is case management for people who just really need some extra support, who've been homeless in the past, who are transitioning into housing. So that's one of our newer housing programs. We also have a lot of employment and training services. So we have specific grants for homeless veterans or people, who are in housing who may be at risk of losing their housing, and we can kind of step in, get them, the support that they need, get them back to work really quickly, so that they can then, pay those bills, make sure they're paying their rent. And we also, in addition to the homeless specific employment services, we have the Call of Duty endowment. The Call of Duty endowment.
Oh, great.
So you've probably heard of the video game?
I've heard
Call
of
of Duty.
Yeah.
So there's a small portion of every sale of that game that gets put into this endowment.
This is great.
And there's
awesome.
really, it's wonderful. And there's really, initially there were only 7 grantees. I think they may have had a few more since we were awarded initially. But we are the only provider in New England, Montana, and North Dakota that have this resource. And it's really for anyone who's served in the military. There's no active duty requirement. There's no requirement that you're homeless or at risk. There's no requirement that you don't have a job. It could be that you need, your resume redone if you're transitioning out of the military. If you're, especially to make sure as you're transitioning out, you have a lot of military skills, and the military has this culture where, you know exactly what you're talking about in numbers.
And you're working as a team.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very much so.
And yes, and you have, these very specific roles that they fill in the military that don't always translate exactly into the civilian world. But what we can do is we can sit with someone and say, you know what, you have so many transferable skills. You've learned all of these lessons. You've learned teamwork. We know you're trainable. These are wonderful skills, but let's make sure that your resume reflects.
They could be a leader too.
Right.
Exactly.
And
Use your
that should
leadership
be
skills.
reflected on their resume.
Yeah.
Because we want them to get that interview. And then once they have that interview, we'll help them with that piece too, with the interview prep, with making sure that they have their resume, they know what questions are probably going to be answered. We do mock interviews. We really set them up for success as they're transitioning into the civilian world.
Right.
And we're making sure that HR departments, if they aren't used to hiring veterans or reading veteran resumes, we can say, hey, maybe this resume isn't the best. This person is using their military language, and really what we want to do is tell you that in fact this person is a good fit, even if their resume may not look like that.
Katherine, if a veteran is watching, who is, I don't know if they're watching yet, but and they just walk into the Veterans Inc. over on Grove Street in Worcester if they just have nowhere else to ask the questions, right? They can. Is that open 24/7?
Yes, it is open 24/7, and we have at least 2 people at the front desk.
Okay, and there is. Sully was saying that there is overnight facilities there.
Yes.
So that's good. So that nobody has to be out on the street.
Exactly.
Exactly. Sully brought in some wonderful.
Hopefully not too much.
No. Tell us about the stand down you got coming.
Yeah, so that's one of our kind of big events throughout the year. It's an enormous kind of giveaway, and also just a mass conglomeration of dozens. I think we're almost close to 100 providers at this point, but it's a whole host of things like medical providers, different kind of specialists who are there to do different kinds of checkups. You also have more employers to do like an employee fair, kind of in the same realm as what Katherine was just talking about. You also have all kinds of different legal services, housing and homeless prevention services, as well as kind of the general like benefits counseling and advocacy that we've kind of talked about throughout all of this, just because there are so many veterans, and I said this last time and I'll say it again, there are so many veterans out there who just don't know what services are available to them, or they think that, they don't qualify. And really, what we have to say to folks is, come in and talk to us, and we can get you some help, something. And we can give back to you for what you've given and the duty that you've served to our country.
Now, they brought in some wonderful brochures. Suicide prevention, behavioral health care, and Independence Hall. Where is this Independence Hall?
Yeah, so Independence Hall, Independence Hall in Shrewsbury is it's on 59 South Street in Shrewsbury. Yep. It's right up the street from Price Chopper, if you've been in the area. It's an amazing place. It's set up, it's in the heart of Massachusetts in Worcester County. It's 22 acres of pristine pastoral fields.
I didn't know it was 22 acres.
22 acres,
oh,
yeah. And it's really, we really strive to have kind of a nature-based, holistic wellness environment, really to just support the treatment program that they have there. Our leadership there really focuses on a kind of a deep harm reduction philosophy. So it's really just meeting the patient where they're at, getting to know them, getting to know their life and kind of what has led them to, into treatment, and really just trying to hook them up with the services and the supports that they need.
Do they have families too to come in as support too? Their family can come in?
It depends. What we like to say about recovery from addiction is that everyone's pathway is different. You can have 2 individuals with the same exact background, the same exact almost life history, and their approaches to their recovery from addiction can be completely different. So sometimes that does involve, kind of family involvement, family therapies, as well as, we have folks who their kids are coming in to visit them on supervised visits, potentially, things like that. So we're very open to family involvement in treatment when it's clinically indicated.
So the veteran, it's almost like a rehab too for veterans who need a place to stay. And a rehab program on 22 acres, did you say 24?
22 acres, yeah. It's an amazing place, and it was previously essentially a Catholic monastery, and it was sold to Veterans Inc. back in 2015. They invested around $2.1 million to renovate the facility, and now it's just a state-of-the-art addiction treatment facility. It's really... and this is not just puffery. It really is one of the premier substance use treatment facilities, not only in the Massachusetts, but in the nation.
And so just for the veterans? So.
Nope, it's mixed. So we serve both veterans and non-veterans.
Wow.
And that's a requirement of our licensure as a substance use treatment facility.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's just something we find that is helpful, actually. A lot of our veterans comment about how being in kind of a mixed space is helpful for them, just kind of socialization, kind of like getting back into the flow of things. But really what's so great about Independence Hall and the program that I would like to talk about, which is our Veterans Access on Demand, or VET AOD program, I think that's like flyer number 5 in that pile there.
Suicide prevention, behavioral health care,
and Veterans Access on Demand is basically a prioritized pathway to get veterans into the substance use treatment that we provide at Independence Hall. So it's activities like these where we're going out promoting in the community, but it's also on kind of in the treatment space. It's using the depth of experience and knowledge that Veterans Inc. has about veteran culture that we've accrued over the past 30 some odd years operating in the veteran community. And there are a couple things that are both clinically indicated and kind of culturally indicated to kind of help a veteran settle in and also kind of uptake what they need to get to complete their treatment and get into recovery. So the kind of things that we have that are kind of examples of that, we have veteran counselors and case managers on staff. So if we have a veteran who wants to, I have to talk to a veteran right now. They're the only ones who are going to understand.
Like a peer type of thing.
Exactly. That peer-led model, studies have shown that it's highly successful both in engaging folks in treatment and keeping them there and getting them in recovery. And the other thing that we have that's really great and kind of, across our organization is veteran-led trainings to basically say, I'm not a veteran, Katherine's not a veteran, but sitting us down and other, kind of clinical frontline staff with our veteran trainers to say, these are the situations that are going to trigger our veterans. This is what you have to look out for. This is kind of the cultural piece or the jargon part of it that you need to understand. Just kind of like what Katherine was talking about with resumes and whatnot. That can also come into treatment where, kind of a regular non-veteran patient, they may present with certain symptoms, certain, kind of triggers, that kind of thing. It can be completely different for a veteran.
I think it's so interesting that it's a rehab too for not just veterans, but for other people. I haven't heard anyone ever mention it over there as being open for that. Katherine, how can they reach you? We're going to sell you this. How can we reach you?
So you can call our 800 number, so 800-482-2565. Or you can go directly to our website, which is www.veteransinc.org.
And we are talking with Sully Roberts, who's back with us, and Katherine Person. They're from Veterans Inc. And, it's about time we got the word out more about what's happening. We see commercials on television for this and that, but that you wonder how many people are really using the help. Do you find that true? You just wish there could be more and more?
I think that one of the amazing things, and it's amazing and awful, but there are always people who need these services. There's always going to be veterans, unfortunately, who are going to need help. I think our goal, the ultimate goal of the organization Veterans Inc. is to put an end to veteran homelessness. But aside from that, we just never want any veteran to ever feel like they're alone in this.
Yeah.
And, I think that also goes for our non-veteran clients as well, where, we're here to provide that comprehensive, holistic wellness environment for them, and for them to achieve, their recovery and also just an optimal life.
Do you have a van? You know the type of things senior centers have? A van that will actually get them to medical appointments?
We have transportation, so that's something we offer 24/7. Taking them to appointments, or if they require any kind of medication for addiction treatment, anything like that. We either will bus them out there, or it gets bused to us on site. And we also do the same thing. We were kind of talking a little bit before about services kind of in the community. That's something else that kind of comes into the counselor case management piece of it. Is if there are, not that there are very many services that we don't offer, but if there are any services that Veterans Inc. doesn't offer, or if there's a higher level of clinical need that's indicated, whether it's, psychiatry, something kind of more in depth, we can refer out to the community and hook them up with a community provider that will persist beyond their time with Veterans Inc. or at Independence Hall.
I think you had once mentioned that you are kind of the connector between UMass, right? So if they have a patient there who comes in and could use the services of Veterans Inc., they can connect with you.
Exactly. Yeah, and that goes for UMass. That goes for any medical provider. We are also what is called a community care network provider for the Veterans Administration for the VA.
Yeah.
So for any VA providers that are out there, they can send their patients to us, and it's basically as though we are a part of the VA network, just as a community care network provider.
Sully, again, how can they reach you?
So again, if you are a veteran, or you have a loved one who is a veteran, or a friend who is a veteran, and they are in need, please have them reach out to us at 1-800-482-2565, or check out our website at veteransinc.org. Again, that's 1-800-482-2565.
And that's Sully Roberts, and he is the Community Engagement Specialist at Veterans Inc. And Katherine Person is with us too, and she's the Director of Clinical Services over there. Katherine, what got you into this?
I have a big military family.
Okay.
So my dad was in the National Guard for, I think, about 25 years.
Did you travel around a lot?
No, I didn't. He traveled a lot.
Okay.
But the nice part about being in the National Guard is, you do your 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So we were always home, and we never had to move around.
Yeah.
And I realized, my cousins were going into the military, and I was like, I feel like I need to give back in some kind of capacity. And I actually happened upon Veterans Inc. and was like, oh, what a great agency. And I realized that I had a cousin who was actually working there. I applied not even knowing it was the same agency. So it was so funny. It turned out
That's how broad we are,
I ended up working. I ended up working there, and I mean, he's since left, but I'll forgive him, I guess.
You've been there how long now? 9 years? Did you say?
9.5 years.
9.5 years?
Yep. September will be 10.
Holy mackerel, you just got out of high school.
I get that a lot.
That's good.
Well,
it's good.
No, well, it's funny because something that Katherine just said that I think kind of speaks generally to, just the staff at Veterans Inc. It's a split about 50-50, veterans to non-veterans. But when you talk with folks like Katherine and I who are not veterans, I think you hear about that dedication and the duty to the folks we're serving. And actually, in my interview when I was kind of applying for this job, I asked that question where I said to our CEO, Vin Perrone, I'm not a veteran, I'm not military.
Yeah.
What do I need to know?
Yeah.
And he said something that still I think about and still kind of touches me to this day, which is everyone serves in their own way.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, we put out there to our staff and to the public at large. There are so many ways that you can help veterans in your community, and really just, you can serve in your own way, just as they served in theirs. And I think that that's something that's really powerful, just that duty that our staff kind of embody, and just trying to give back to our veterans for everything that they've done.
How about something on a fun line? Do you have activities and fun things that you could provide for them besides, if they're so sad over homelessness and all the stuff, they have psych problems, do you offer activities, fun things?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we recently actually, expanded one of our programs, and we hired an activities coordinator.
Okay.
So we have someone, her name is Susan, she's wonderful, and she's done art with them, she's taken them to baseball games. We have connections, luckily, with like the Woo Sox, so they've gone to games for free. She's just amazing. She's taken them on fishing trips. She has so many ideas, and we've recently put together they had a really good name for it. Success Suits Them. So we had people come in, talk about getting ready for job interviews. We gave them clothing. So she was the one who kind of pulled in all of our clients who were living with us and said, hey, let's make sure you're all ready. So that was, I guess, not as fun as maybe painting or fishing, but it was still like a fun activity to kind of get them involved and get them, doing things and working with each other.
Great thrift shops right there. You've got Salvation Army, but they have great clothes for basically nothing. I mean, it could be brand new. I've seen them.
We actually
and then
have
also, what's the other one?
too.
The Goodwill down on Park Avenue?
Yep.
So, who does the shopping for the vets if they need to get dressed up for interviews?
So we actually have clothing on site for them.
Oh, you're kidding! You've got like a thrift shop there? Or is it just free?
It's free for the veterans.
Oh,
so
my
anyone
God.
who needs something, we have suits. People donate suits all the time. We have clothing. We have work attire, and then you have like your fun clothes too, your lounge clothes. So when you come in, if you're coming in with only what you have off the street, you have a backpack, maybe.
Yeah.
We give you all new clothes.
So if a vet comes in and maybe they don't want to say it, but let's say you can tell that they need psychiatric help. How do you handle that? That's tricky business.
What
do you do? Sully, what would you do with that?
I think it's first it's meeting with them and kind of going in and making sure that you're not escalating the situation.
Yeah.
I think something that unfortunately a lot of folks who struggle with mental health issues, what they are initially used to is people just wanting to move them along.
Yeah.
Or step over them and ignore them. And I think that's one of the first things that we do is just meeting them. And, our staff, they're all trained in kind of recognizing those signs, and they're not all clinicians. Like, they're not going to, but even our front desk staff are trained to kind of spot that stuff and immediately get someone into care, and kind of just call that in. But I think that's a big part of it is just meeting them where they're at, not looking to escalate or, be aggressive, anything like that, like they might have encountered. That's the other thing that you have to realize with most folks who are, experiencing mental health issues. It's not, it's kind of like the worst day that you can think of in your life, just keeps going.
Panic attacks, that type of
panic attacks, all that stuff, depression, and when you look at kind of the complexities and the comorbidities that our veterans have to suffer through, whether it's PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or traumatic brain injury, all of that kind of stuff, or some of the newer stuff that has come out with the PACT Act that has come out with some of the burn pit stuff, and some of the kind of cancers and other comorbidities that came out of that.
That Camp Lejeune, have you had an influx of vets coming in and say, I was there?
It's really it's across the board. It's kind of it all depends. We definitely did see a boost in folks coming in after kind of the media splash hit about when the PACT Act passed.
Yeah.
Just because I think that for us, and Katherine can probably speak to this a little bit better. Some of our veterans who may not have been previously eligible for some of those programs, after the PACT Act passed, that kind of opened the door for them. And that was the thing too, was that it wasn't. A lot of these folks, they're already in some form of care when these things get passed. It's just, kind of opening up the faucet a little bit more just to get them the services and the supports that they need.
I know that I was just a little kid, but I can remember hearing about Camp Lejeune, Paris Island, all that type of thing, and now they're making the announcement. If you were there during that particular time, don't hesitate to contact us.
Yep.
It's good that they're finally saying something about it.
Yeah.
So again, how can they reach you?
All right, so 3 for 3. If you are a veteran or you have a veteran loved one or friend who is in need of care or any kind of help, any kind of support, please send them our way. Have them call 1-800-482-2565 or check out veteransinc.org.
How about donating? This is great. Free items, clothing, food, refreshments, personal care items, and much more. Do you rely on donations from people just to give to you?
So the way that it goes with our funding is that about 70% of our funding comes from the federal and the state government, but that remaining 30% is private donations. And that's really the driving force behind the different kind of events that we have throughout the year. And that actually brings me to the next point that I wanted to make sure we covered, which was just a reminder for you and for the folks at home that on May 17th we have our Best Ball Charity Golf Classic coming up.
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be at Cyprian Keys in West Boylston.
Okay.
And that's, again, that's May 17th, Cyprian Keys in West Boylston.
How does somebody participate? How do they do this?
Yeah, so if you actually go online to veteransinc.org and check out our events page, we actually have all of the information up there about how you can register to golf, or you can we still have sponsorships open if you want to donate any items that we'll be putting on for our raffle. We have a host of things going on, a bunch of different contests, prize giveaways, closest to the line, closest to the pin. I'm not as familiar with golf myself, so the golfers on the team are still kind of training us up on all the different kind of party games that we'll have at the different holes, but it's really going to be an exciting and a fun event. And beyond just kind of the fun part, it's also going to be an incredible opportunity for folks to come out, support our veterans, and just put the dollars where they need to go.
Will the veterans, any of the veterans, be able to participate?
Yeah, they'll be on site.
That's awesome. Do they have to pay at all, or it's free for the veterans?
So to register to play, it is paid, but they can always spectate, and I believe that they'll be welcome in that capacity.
Good. That sounds good. It's going to be refreshments and food?
Yep, full spread.
Any entertainment, like a band?
We are actually going to have, we have a sponsorship from 100 FM The Pike.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to have them broadcasting from the field that day. And I believe we're still determining which of their kind of radio personalities is going to be in attendance. But I think we might have some folks on hand to kind of,
You'd be good. Well, both of you, really. I mean, they're not shy about talking. So you hear that? You have them on your show.
Yeah, it's something, and that's something that we would put out there to the community. Any kind of community groups or organizations out there. If you serve veterans, if you think you might serve veterans, or even if you just want to know more about the services that we have on offer, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to go out there and present on really any of the topics that we've talked about today or any kind of specific programming.
So we're going to be saying goodbye to Katherine and Sully, and we're going to get maybe over the summer. Come on back, talk about it.
For sure.
Go downstairs to the Upton Library, and on our bulletin boards you're going to see some things that I'm going to have posted down there about this. So if you have any questions whatsoever, do not hesitate to call them. I love your slogan. They were there when we needed them. We must be there now that they need us. Help, simple and right to the point. Thank you, both of you, for being on.
Thank you so much,
We'll get you
Jan.
back on. Hopefully maybe this summer, huh?
I
Don't
love
lose
it.
touch.
Yeah.
We'll see enough time of being like this.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.